Many couples make a promise to stay together for richer or for poorer, but a new study finds partners may not be completely honest when it comes to finances. According to a new survey by Fidelity, more than a third of couples couldn't correctly identify their spouse's salary within at least $25,000. And even more couples disagreed about how much they need for retirement. To talk more about this financial disconnect is a certified financial planner, Ladejobi. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
So why do you think so many couples have trouble discussing their personal finances with their significant other?
I think a lot of it has to do with fear of judgment, where a spouse may not want to talk in detail about their spending habits or their lack of knowledge around financial topics. And also I see that with a lot of couples, it can also create conflict as well, right? If they disagree on how much they should spend on specific categories of their finances. And it's just not as fun. I think with a lot of couples both working and, spending time on a lot of other chores, talking about your money together is just another chore that is not as fun as going out to dinner or some other thing that you could be doing with your spouse. So for these reasons, I find that couples don't spend as much time discussing their finances as they should.
What do you think are some of the consequences of not discussing money?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of financial consequences in the sense of when you don't talk to your partner about your money and you don't get on the same page, it's really challenging to take advantage of a lot of the benefits of the tax code. The U.S. tax code was written really to benefit married couples, especially when there's a big disparity in income. So couples who don't discuss and plan together, they might pay more taxes, especially if they're not maximizing retirement accounts. They might not be able to take advantage of key deductions because they're not collaborating to understand what is available to each person. And then if you aren't coordinating with your spouse about certain taxable events, such as, if someone's offered the ability to delay compensation, if one person's having a high tax year, there's just a lot of factors involved that if you really don't discuss, you don't get the opportunity to take advantage of that. And then you can slow the rate of your wealth growth when you aren't sort of planning together.
So nearly half the couples in the Fidelity study say they did not make financial decisions jointly. How problematic is this when looking toward the future?
Yes, I think it's very problematic for couples who stay together and for couples who don't stay together. If you stay together with your spouse and one person was saving well for retirement and the other person was under saving, you will have a smaller pot of money to fund your retirement years, right? So it's really in each person's best interest to really understand what their spouse is doing. Is their spouse maximizing retirement accounts? Is their spouse taking advantage of any company match that might be available? And reorganizing the household finances so regardless of what the income is, each person can maximize tax advantage accounts. And if couples do end up separating later on in life, if one person saved well and the other person didn't save as much, there's also a smaller pot of money to split to, create these two separate households. So I think regardless of what your outlook is, whether or not you are going to retire together with your spouse or not, you do want to make sure that both of you are doing all the right things to make sure that the pot of money available is larger than if you were sort of not paying attention to each other.
And what about bank accounts? Do you think it's wise that couples have separate accounts, or should they compile all of their money into one account? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. So for a lot of my clients, we like to do this 3-account strategy where there's a joint account for all of the household goals and expenses. And then each person can have their respective solo accounts for discretionary purchases, things that you don't necessarily want to sort of argue with your spouse about. Did you go to Starbucks again or did you buy another pair of shoes? But I think that the big goals together should be funded out of the joint account and then the discretionary for each person for, small purchases and things like that you've pre-agreed on.
Well, certified financial planner, Ladejobi, good to see you. Thanks so much and great advice for us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.